looks like Kobe Bryant, his pyramid is open. And it's an interesting thing to go inside him because the opening is only this high. It's only about this wide. So they tell you that if you're afraid of closed-in places, don't go in because it's so small. As a matter of fact, it's about as wide as this passageway right here, about this high. And so you gotta hunch down like this, and you're going almost 1/8 of a mile underneath the ground. Then you come up an ascending corridor of about 100 yards, and then you come into a chamber that might be about as big as this room, but there's a vaulted ceiling there. Now, I forgot to mention that it's probably literally about 120 degrees in there. Who would go on that journey with me? Who would be interested in just going to see? Wonderful. So we have some scholars and researchers in here. Okay. Good. I see some of y'all were a little hesitant, and I was a little hesitant at first too when they told me about how small the opening was. As a matter of fact, when I'm hunched down like this and we're about halfway through, I had a thought as I was looking up. What do you think I was thinking? Man, this thing might collapse on us and we'd be trapped in here. But then my ancestral intelligence kicked in and said our ancestors were master builders who built for eternity. Our ancestors were what? Master builders who built for eternity. It's been standing for over 5,000 years. I know it can last at least another 20 minutes. Ashe? So I went on this journey and have led, dozens of people through there. The chamber inside looks like this. Now wait a minute. There's some writing on the wall. Does that look like meta-nature writing? What does it look like? This was written in here by a man named Giovanni Belzoni back in, I believe, 1868. What you're looking at, what do you call it when somebody writes their name or writes on property that belongs to them? You call it graffiti and vandalism, right? And I can take you all throughout the land and show you where people scribbled their name or something else in Greek, in English, in French, and in German. People who didn't understand or appreciate the culture. And what did we say earlier? No one will understand or appreciate your culture until you do. All right? So this is a picture of me and my oldest son. He went with me a few years ago on this journey. And we've taken over 3,000 young people and adults on this trip over the past 13 years. Now, again, who's that in that picture? Me. That's you, because you're going to go back and see it for yourself. Remember, the Great Pyramid is 481 feet high, covering an area of 13 acres. And in addition to that, each stone comes up to my shoulder. Some of y'all are taller than me, some of you may be a little shorter than me, but the average stone weighs 2.5 tons. Let's go back to math class for just a second. 1 ton is how many pounds? 2,000. So 2.5 tons is how many pounds? 5,000 pounds. Did you know that there are 5 stones in the King's Chamber that weigh 70 tons each? How many pounds is that? Somebody said that's a whole lot. No, I need a more specific answer, okay? Right, it's 140,000 pounds. Do you know that with all of our so-called modern technology, there are not cranes that can lift stones that large? In addition to that, the raw material, the granite for these pyramids was taken from over 500 miles away in Aswan. How did these ancient Africans get these large stones all the way up the Nile River, then get them over to the Giza Plateau, then stack them together so perfectly that they're aligned with constellations in the sky? We call this African sacred science. One more time, what do we call it? African sacred science. And it's the only one of the 7 wonders of the world that's still standing, because our ancestors built for eternity. They were master builders who built for eternity. Now, how many of you all have ever heard the lie? Because this is so magnificent that there are some people that would say pyramids are such a mathematical marvel that they must have been created by aliens. Raise your hand if you've ever heard that before. All right, hands down. see, if you don't know your history, you will accept the lie. But all we have to do is go back to the Alms Mathematics Papyrus and look at problem number 56, and we see where these ancient Africans were figuring out the slope of a pyramid. As a matter of fact, we know the mistakes that they made on earlier pyramids. All of that stuff is there for those that care to discover it and to study it. Here I wanted you to see how massive the pyramid is. Remember, 481 feet high, 201 stair steps to the top. Stair steps as tall as my shoulder. And remember, in ancient times, it wasn't brown crumbling stone. What was it?